welcome back to another tips and tricks video. This one will be about saving tips and how you can save up those Primo gems, XP books, Mora, so you can raise or get the characters that you want. I'll be going over some ways to save and manage your resources efficiently. I also have a video on resin management if you need help on that, and also character preparation if you're still looking to get ready for characters and farm for certain characters. This video will go more in depth on how to save and efficient ways to save up Primo gems, especially if you spend a lot or are tempted to pull or use your resources. So without further ado, let's get started. This portion is sponsored by a.k.a. If you are interested in coding, learning to create games, or read and write code, then I would highly recommend signing up for a.k.a. They offer various coding and game design courses for anyone ages 5 to 17 years old. If you are still a beginner or have no experience just yet, no need to worry, the course is super beginner friendly and really easy to understand. In the game design course, you get to learn to create all sorts of game type, learn how to use scripts and program games to your liking, and even share your games for others to play. The link to their website is down below if you are interested in signing up or checking out what other classes they have to offer. So to all those computer programmers or coding enthusiasts, check out a.k.a. Remember to use code AMBER for Algo when signing up, and thank you a.k.a. for sponsoring this video. The first thing to know is who you're going to build. For example, if I planned on building Raiden, then I would invest all my resources and time into building her and only her. This goes for farming talent books, weapon materials, or even just Mora to raise her talents. But you don't want to go switching back and forth between characters when you're building, because then you end up having a bunch of weak characters that are not fully built, rather than having one character who is really strong and can do a lot of damage. So what you want to do is take it a character at a time and don't rush your builds. If you need to farm things such as weapon ascension materials, then you make sure you know which days to farm them on so you have condensed resin or normal resin to farm them. If you simply need XP books or just to raise your character's level, then you want to do those on the days where your talent books aren't available. Also remember, don't spend your XP books on characters you know you're not going to use or you know that are not the best for your teams. I have a bunch of low-level characters because I know that I decided not to raise them yet, or because I haven't found a particular role for them to play in some of my teams, so I'm going to hold off raising them until way later. Even if I really like the character, such as Ningguang, I've been wanting to build her for a while now, I still haven't raised her in terms of the level yet because I know that there won't be a spot for her on my team and I don't have the right artifacts for her yet either. Another thing you should note is that you don't need to level up your characters to 90, so that will definitely save you a couple hundred XP books and also a lot of Mora. Since raising from 80 to 90 does take a lot of XP, it's not best you entirely spend it like that, so if you just want to get your characters to level 80 and then ascend it and let them level up naturally, that's what I do to many of my characters, where I ascend them and then I let them level up until I have the materials for the next ascension. That goes for Raiden Shogun because I don't have the materials for her ascension yet, so I don't want to max her out since she does gain XP if I just fight enemies or do things normally. As for the talents, I like to level these up as soon as I gain them. For example, since you can only raise the talents at a certain point in their ascension, like you need to wait for the next ascension phase to raise their talents, I like to raise them as I go on with my ascension. So let's say they're at ascension phase 2, then I level up their talents like that until they are maxed out and I can't level them up anymore. Just like this one says, ascension phase 6. If you know that you don't have enough materials or if you don't want to spend yet, then you can always save up, which is really recommended. If you are looking to pre-farm for materials, then a great way to save them is to not tempt yourself with other characters. Let's say that you have two characters that use the same materials, you will have to choose one character you want to raise first. Also, another great tip that I like to use is making sure you always have at least enough. For that, I like to set a limit to myself, such as for treasure hoarders, I don't want to drop below 50 of the Golden Raven insignias. Or if it was something such as these talent materials, I'd say I don't want to go below only one of them. So that's how I know that I always have materials for anyone who needs them. I also make sure that I have the ascension materials for every single type of element, as well as all the talent books that are required for raising them. Just remember that you don't have to max out the character the same day that you get them, and there's no need to rush, especially if you're raising someone that might take a long time to raise, or if weekly bosses and domains aren't available. I've been collecting a lot of my fragile resin as well as my dream solvents. A lot of my time in Genshin is spent just waiting and farming and letting the things I need come naturally to me so I don't have to hurry and rush throughout the game. An example of that would be if I was farming ballad books for Rosaria. If at that time I needed 10 purple ballad books, then I would go and run the domain until I got about 11 or 12 of the purple ballad books without having to craft. So that means I still had extra blue books if I needed them. Sometimes the case does not apply for certain characters, like if I were raising a weapon such as the catch, I know that I don't have to use these specific materials for any other weapons that I own. That's why I only need to farm a few and I don't mind crafting them. Make sure you set a limit to yourself and you don't go above and beyond. It's great to have goals in Genshin, but you also don't want to overachieve. Now for things such as saving Mora, which is one of the hardest things for me to save. A lot of the time, saving is not spending. And since talents are one of the most expensive things to raise, it can be really expensive at times, and I'm not always willing to spend the Mora that I have, especially if it's only for a small upgrade or a small boost in damage. A tip for saving Mora is to prioritize who you are going to use the Mora on, and also farm a lot more than you're going to spend. If I were planning to spend 60k Mora, then I would go farm 120k so I still have a little bit left over. One of my greatest fears for my Genshin account is not having enough of an item, so that's why I farm really heavily, especially during weekends when I have extra time. Remember, if ever you need any resources, you can always check out your teapot if you've unlocked that, and the Realm Depot has plenty of things such as weapon XP or character XP and Mora. Another thing to remember is that the sigils, if you trade them in at the store, you can get things like Mora and sometimes weapon ascension materials if you haven't claimed them already. And now the last thing, which is Primogems. Now Primogems are one of the most valuable currency in Genshin because it is the one to summon characters and bring home all of your favorite 5 stars, 4 stars, or weapons that you really like. Now I have been free to play for the entire game and I've been saving Primogems for a really long time. I've tempted myself to not wish even if it's a character that I really want, but when I have my mind set to a character that I want, like Kazuha, Albedo, Raiden, then I will know not to spend and to save up my Primogems for something better. An example of that would be when I was wishing for Eula. I know I really wanted Eula, but I also know that I want Raiden and she will be a lot more beneficial than if I had Eula on my team. A quick tip to note if you're saving Primogems, even if you are really tempted to wish, which sometimes I am, I like to use the free standard banner wishes that I get from Battle Pass or from the tree in Inazuma, and some of the stardust that I gain after wishing. Another huge trick is to not build pity, especially if there's a character you really want, and especially if there is a banner of the character you don't want. Building pity is a way to increase your chances of getting the character, or basically pre-wishing, so that when the character you want arrives in their banner, you will simply get them within the first few pulls. Now, building pity can sometimes be good if the character you want is on the banner, but if there's a character you don't want, there is also a big chance that you can get them early. Since not all characters come at 90 pity, there is a small chance that building pity will end up not working for you and you might get the character that you don't really want as much as the character you do want. For example, if I was wishing on the Zhongli banner and didn't want Zhongli but I wanted Raiden later on, if I were to wish on the Zhongli banner and gain about 75 pity, which is around the soft pity area, I still have the chances to get Zhongli. And also remember that once you get a 5-star, your pity resets, and that all your work of building pity and saving up those Primogems for the character you wanted more might not end up working. When you know that a character you really want is coming, then you might want to farm a little bit more. That could mean going and doing challenges or exploring the map and unlocking a few Shrine of the Depths or anything along those lines. Just remember that the more work you put into the game, the better the outcomes will be after that. A lot of the time, saving is about not tempting yourself to use the resources. Like, I've been really tempted to use all my hero's wit and raise a bunch of characters, but I've held off of that because I know some characters need more attention than others and they need to be built one at a time. So don't rush and take the game as slow as you need it to. Remember that everyone plays Genshin at their own pace and there is no need to rush. Everyone has their own saving journey and their own goals, so there's no need to pressure yourself into saving or even spending anything on Genshin. Remember that it's also all for fun, so the most important thing is that you're enjoying playing the game and don't stress yourself out or overfarm. So I hope some of these tips were helpful. I hope that you got a few ideas on how to save or what to spend on. Good luck to anyone who is pulling for Kokomi Raiden or their weapons, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Discord server is in the link down below. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you soon!